You've tried it all. The hustle, the grind, the relentless pursuit. You've visualized, affirmed, and pushed harder than most. Yet what you want most, whether it's money, peace, purpose, or love, still feels just out of reach. The more you chase, the more it seems to drift away. It's not your fault. You were never taught the quiet secret, that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is nothing. That true power lies not in pushing, but in allowing. What you're about to hear may feel backwards, uncomfortable, almost wrong. Trust that feeling. It means you're close. By the end of this video, you won't just understand this truth. You'll feel it. You'll live it. The struggle ends here. A new era begins now. Before we begin, let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what you're going through right now. It's always inspiring to see people from all over the world working through similar challenges together. Let's get right into it. Introduction. The paradox you feel but can't name. You are exhausted. I see it. I feel it. That deep, soul-level fatigue that comes not from hard work, but from the constant, grinding effort of trying to make things happen. You've been taught your entire life that success, happiness, and love are the rewards for relentless effort. You've been sold the doctrine of force. Push harder, strive more, want it more than anyone else. And for a while, maybe it worked. You got some things. But the big things, the deep contentment, the effortless flow, the sense of peace that doesn't shatter at the first sign of trouble, those have remained stubbornly out of reach. You've been swimming against the current your whole life, convinced that the struggle is the point, only to wonder why you're so tired and still so far from shore. There is a law at work in the universe, a quiet, paradoxical principle that the ancient Stoics, Eastern philosophers, and modern psychologists have all glimpsed in their own ways. It is the understanding that the mind's insistence on control is the very thing that creates our suffering. Your relentless effort to be happy is what pushes happiness away. Your desperate grasp for security is what makes you feel insecure. Your obsessive need to find love is what radiates an energy of lack that repels it. This is the backwards law. It is the fundamental truth that the more you pursue a positive experience, the more you emphasize the lack of it, and the more you ultimately push it away. You are trying to reach for something while simultaneously reinforcing the story that you don't have it. The universe, in its flawless logic, simply responds to the energy you are broadcasting. 1. Of absence. This book is not about giving up. It is about a new kind of effort. It is about the effort of release, the discipline of surrender, the strength it takes to unclench your fists. We are going to explore how to move from a state of forcing to a state of allowing, from grasping to receiving. This is the path of inverse effort. It requires you to trust something beyond your ego's frantic plan. It asks you to stop trying to steer the river and instead to learn how to flow with it, trusting that its currents are intelligent and that they know the way to the ocean. This is not passive. It is highly active. It is the action of aligning yourself with the natural order of things rather than wasting your energy fighting it. The reward for this alignment is a life that feels less like a battle and more like a dance. It is the feeling of the universe bending to meet you, not because you forced it to, but because you finally got out of the way. The journey begins by understanding the single greatest source of your resistance, your own mind. Chapter 1. The Tyranny of Effort. How trying harder became your biggest problem. Let's start with the engine of your struggle. The belief that more effort equals more results. This seems logical, doesn't it? You want a promotion, so you work late nights. You want a better body, so you punish yourself in the gym. You want a relationship, so you swipe until your thumb aches. You are applying a linear, mechanical solution to a non-linear, organic problem. You are treating your life like a math equation when it is actually a garden. You cannot pull on a seedling to make it grow faster. You can only ensure it has sun, water, and good soil, then allow it to grow on its own timeline. Your constant pulling is the problem. Your effort has become tyranny. I want you to think of the last time you were truly in a state of flow, completely absorbed in a task, losing track of time. Maybe it was playing music, creating something, or even having a conversation where the words just flowed. Were you trying? In the sense of straining and forcing? Number. You were engaged, but there was a release of control. You were participating without forcing. The effort was joyful, not burdensome. This is the state we are after for your entire life. The reason you can't access it on command is because your ego, the part of you that believes it's in charge, mistakes anxiety for action and control for competence. It would rather you be miserable and feel in control than relaxed and trusting of a process you can't micromanage. Your ego is a terrible gardener. It's always digging up the seeds to check if they're growing. Your first task is to become aware of the watermark of force in your life. Where does your effort feel heavy, anxious, and desperate? That is the energy of resistance. That is you swimming against the current. The goal is not to stop swimming, but to turn around and see which way the water is flowing. The practice for this chapter is simple but profound. Identify one area where you are striving. Just one. It could be your career, your social life, your fitness. I want you to experiment with a single act of deliberate non-effort. If you're forcing a conversation, be quiet. If you're obsessively checking your phone for a message, leave it in another room for an hour. If you're grinding at your desk while exhausted, stop. Get up and take a walk. Do not do this to manipulate an outcome. Do it as an experiment in physics. Notice what happens in the space you create when you stop pushing. The tension you feel is the tyranny of effort losing its grip. And in that space, a new possibility can finally breathe. Chapter 2. The Wisdom of Water. Why the softest force is the most powerful. Look at water. It is the softest, most yielding substance you know. It never argues, never resists, never tries to be anything other than what it island. And yet, given enough time, it carves canyons through solid rock. It wears down mountains. It moves around any obstacle without conflict, simply finding another path, and in its relentless, gentle persistence, it always reaches the sea. This is not weakness. This is the most sophisticated form of power in the universe. It is power through adaptation, power through flow, power through non-resistance. Your entire life, you have been taught to be the rock-hard, rigid, solid. But the rock is eventually broken apart by the very water that flows around it. What if you've been aiming for the wrong kind of strength? Your attempts to force outcomes are you being the rock. You set a goal, you create a rigid plan, and you push forward in a straight line. When you meet an obstacle, you push harder. You exhaust yourself trying to break through. You see the obstacle as an enemy to be conquered. Water sees the obstacle as information. It simply changes course. It doesn't see changing course as failure. It sees it as the intelligent way forward. The goal for the water isn't to defeat the rock. The goal is to reach the ocean. It will take the path of least resistance to get there, because it understands that efficiency is a form of wisdom. Your insistence on your specific path, your specific timeline, your specific outcome, is you arguing with the current of life itself. You are exhausting yourself trying to swim upstream while the universe is gently trying to carry you downstream. I want you to consider one area of your life where you feel stuck, where you're hitting a wall. Your natural inclination is to redouble your efforts, to find a bigger hammer. I am asking you to try the way of water instead. Instead of attacking the problem head-on, step back, observe. Where is the natural flow of energy? Where is there ease? What path of less resistance is already available that your ego has dismissed as cheating or not the right way? The way of water requires profound humility. It requires you to admit that your initial plan might not be the best one. It requires you to relinquish control over the how and stay focused only on the where, your ultimate intention. Your practice this week is to identify one obstacle and, instead of pushing, ask, how would water handle this? Would it go over, under, around, or simply wait? The intelligence of the universe is not in its force, but in its adaptability. Your greatest strength will be found not in your rigidity, but in your softness. Chapter 3. The Art of Non-Seeking. How to find what you want by no longer looking. You have been looking for it your whole life. That thing, whether it's fulfillment, a partner, purpose, or peace, has been the horizon you're always walking toward but never reaching. Your search has become a part of your identity. But I need you to consider a terrifying, liberating question. What if the very act of seeking is what ensures you never find it? Think of happiness. The moment you say, "I will be happy when," you have placed happiness outside of yourself. You have turned it into an object, to be acquired. You have simultaneously announced to yourself and the universe that you currently lack it. This sense of lack is a low-frequency energy that perpetuates the very absence you are trying to fill. You are running on a treadmill, convinced the finish line is just ahead, never realizing that the machine is designed to keep you running. The art of non-seeking is the practice of shifting from a state of lack to a state of wholeness. It is the decision to act as if you are already complete. This is not a deception. It is an acknowledgement of a deeper truth. You are already whole. You are already enough. Your seeking is based on a mistaken belief that something out there will complete something in here. It won't. External things can enhance your experience, but they cannot complete an incomplete self. That completion is an inside job. When you stop seeking externally, you are forced to turn inward. You begin to find the very things you were looking for: validation, peace, security, within your own being. This inner fullness then becomes the magnet. You are no longer a hungry ghost searching for food. You are a king, setting a feast. People and opportunities are naturally drawn to that energy of abundance. Your assignment is to conduct a fast, a seeking fast. For 1 week, I want you to consciously stop searching for the thing you want most. If you are seeking a partner, delete the apps. Stop scanning every room for prospects. If you are seeking validation at work, do your work excellently, but release the need for praise. If you are seeking happiness, stop trying to be happy. Instead, pour that energy into being present. Be fully in your life as it is, not as you wish it would be. Engage deeply with the simple moments: the taste of your coffee, the feeling of the sun, the conversation with a friend. This will feel counterintuitive. It will feel like you're giving up. You're not. You're upgrading your strategy. You are moving from the desperate energy of seeking to the magnetic energy of allowing. Watch what happens in the space you create. The universe fills a vacuum not of need, but of readiness. When you are no longer leaning forward, straining for the future, you can finally stand upright and receive the present. Chapter 4. The Stoic Surrender. Action without attachment to outcome. The idea of surrender feels like defeat. It sounds like passivity, like giving up, like admitting that you are not the master of your own ship. This could not be further from the truth. The Stoic philosophers, some of the most disciplined and effective people in history, did not believe in helplessness. They believed in a focused, powerful dichotomy. The dichotomy of control. Some things are within your control: your efforts, your opinions, your desires, your actions. Most things are not: your reputation, your wealth, your health, the actions of others. The Stoic surrender is not a surrender of action. It is a surrender of attachment to the results of that action. It is the fierce, disciplined practice of doing your very best while simultaneously releasing any demand that the universe reward you for it. This is the core of the backwards law in practice. You are to become a master of your efforts and a student of the outcome. You plant the seed with care and intention. You water it. You ensure it has Sunday. But you do not dig it up every day to see if it has grown. You do not scream at the sky because it's not growing fast enough. You understand that the growth is not your department. Your department is the planting and the watering. This surrender is the ultimate act of power because it frees you from the anxiety that is poisoning your efforts. When your sense of self-worth is not tied to the outcome, you can act with a clarity and courage that is impossible when you are desperate. Your action becomes purer, more focused, and more effective because it is no longer contaminated by neediness. I want you to apply this to one goal right now. Break it down. What parts are within your control? Your research, your practice, your preparation, your attitude, your execution. Pour yourself into those things with everything you have. Now, what parts are outside of your control? The market conditions, another person's decision, timing, the weather. Write these down. And then, on a separate piece of paper, write this statement. I release my attachment to these outcomes. My worth is not contingent on these results. I have done my part. Read it aloud. This is not magical thinking. This is psychological hygiene. It is the practice of cleaning the anxiety out of your effort. You will find that your work becomes more joyful, less strained, and surprisingly, more likely to succeed. Because the universe responds best not to grasping hands, but to open ones. Chapter 5. The Letting Go Lab. Practical Experiments in Release. You understand the theory. You see the logic in water's wisdom and the freedom in non-seeking. But knowing is not enough. Your mind, conditioned by a lifetime of striving, will dismiss this as philosophy unless you prove it to yourself through direct experience. This chapter is your laboratory. Here, we move from concept to concrete practice. We will conduct controlled experiments in surrender, giving you tangible, irrefutable evidence that letting go is not a loss of control, but an upgrade to a more intelligent system. Consider this your training ground for trust, where you will learn to rely on a current stronger than your own will. Your first experiment is what I call the garden audit. I want you to identify one seed you've been desperately trying to force to grow. This could be a business goal, a creative project, or a personal habit. You've been digging it up, checking its roots, and anxiously measuring its progress. Your assignment is to, for a period of 1 week, completely change your approach. Do only the absolute minimum required for its sustenance, the equivalent of giving it water and sunlight, and then walk away. For a business project, this might mean doing one focused action each day, and then refusing to obsess over metrics. For a fitness goal, it might mean showing up for your workout and then not thinking about it again until the next session. The rule is this. You must release the mental rehearsal, the constant worry, and the frantic planning. You are to tend the garden and then trust the soil. Your second experiment is the conversation of release. This is an internal dialogue to be done at the end of each day. Find a quiet moment and speak these words aloud, either to yourself or to the universe. Today, I did what I could with what I had. I now release all attachment to the outcomes of my efforts. I trust that the results are being handled by a wisdom greater than my own. Feel the weight of those words. This is not a prayer of hope. It is a declaration of fact. You are stating your role as the actor and acknowledging the director. This practice systematically dismantles the neural pathways of anxiety and forges new ones of trust. You will likely feel a physical sensation of release, a sigh, a dropping of the shoulders. That is the feeling of the tyranny of effort ending. The data you collect from these experiments is your own lived experience. Notice what happens. Does the project fall apart without your micromanagement? Or does it find a new, more natural rhythm? Does your anxiety lessen when you consciously release your grip? The goal is not necessarily a specific outcome. The goal is to observe the change in your energy. You are proving to yourself that the world does not collapse when you stop holding it up. In fact, it often begins to hold you. This lab is where theory becomes truth, and where you transition from someone who understands the backwards law to someone who lives by it. Chapter 6. The Paradox of Peace. How your quest for happiness keeps it from you. The pursuit of happiness is the surest way to ensure you never catch it. This is the central, maddening paradox of the human experience. You have been sold happiness as a destination, a finish line you cross after acquiring the right job, the right partner, the right body, the right amount of money. You are running a race where the finish line moves every time you get close. Your pursuit is based on a fundamental error. You believe happiness is a response to external conditions. It is not. It is a response to an internal state of acceptance. The moment you make happiness a goal, you announce to your entire being that it is absent. You are here, and happiness is there. This very perception creates the separation that is the source of your unhappiness. Think of happiness not as a butterfly to be chased, but as a cat that chooses your lap. If you lunge for the cat, it darts away. If you sit quietly, comfortable in your own presence, the cat will eventually curl up with you. Your relentless pursuit is the lunging. It is an energy of desperation that repels the very thing you want. The state of non-seeking, of being fully present and content with what is the quiet lap. It is an energy of allowance that is inherently attractive. Happiness is a byproduct of alignment, not an achievement to be unlocked. It emerges when you are so engaged in the flow of your life that you forget to ask, "Am I happy?" You are simply too busy living to grade the experience. Your work is to reframe your entire relationship with happiness. I want you to stop asking, "What will make me happy?" and start asking, "What would I do if I weren't concerned with being happy?" This question bypasses the ego's seeking mechanism and connects you with your authentic interests. It leads you to action for its own sake, for the love of the doing, not for the emotional reward you hope to extract from it. This is how you build a life that generates happiness as a natural emission, like heat from a fire. Your practice is to engage in one activity today, purely for the sake of the activity itself. Do not do it to feel accomplished, to post about it, or to be a better person. Do it because something in you is drawn to it. Cook a meal, just to enjoy the process of creation. Take a walk just to feel your body move. In this simple act, you are not pursuing happiness. You are embodying it. And in that embodiment, you will find the peace that has been eluding you your entire life. Chapter 7. Effortless Relating. When you stop needing approval, you get it. Every strained interaction, every moment of social anxiety, every time you leave a conversation feeling drained, it all stems from one hidden agenda: the need for approval. You enter conversations not to connect, but to extract validation. You perform a version of yourself you believe will be liked. You monitor their reactions, tailoring your words to win their favor. This is not relating. This is auditing. You are constantly taking inventory of your social worth, and it is utterly exhausting. It also, in its tragic irony, makes you less likable. People can feel the neediness. They sense the performance. It creates a subtle barrier, because they are not connecting with the real you. They are connecting with a representative you have sent out to gather approval. The backwards law reveals its brilliance here. The less you need someone's approval, the more likely you are to receive it. When you are not seeking validation, you are free to be genuinely curious about the other person. You can listen without planning your response. You can speak your truth without filtering it through their potential judgment. You can be fully present. This authenticity is magnetic. It makes people feel safe and seen because they are interacting with someone who is not trying to get something from them. They feel the strength of your self-contained worth, and it is a quality people instinctively admire and trust. Your approval comes from within, so you have no need to collect it from outside sources. You become a sun radiating light, not a black hole sucking it in. Your experiment in effortless relating is this. For your next conversation, your only goal is to be a scientist of the other person. Your mission is to learn 3 genuine things about them. Not to be charming, not to be funny, not to be impressive. Your sole purpose is discovery. How does this shift feel? Without the pressure to perform, you will likely feel a wave of relief. You will find the conversation flows more easily because you are not hijacking it with your own agenda. You will notice the other person opening up because your curiosity is a form of deep respect. They may not know why, but they will leave the conversation feeling better for having been with you. And the greatest paradox of all? They will approve of you far more for not having needed it. You will have connected not through effort, but through the simple, powerful act of release. Chapter 8. The Generosity of the Universe. Trusting that the current knows the way. You have been operating under a terrible assumption that the universe is stingy, that opportunities are scarce, that love is limited, and that success is a finite resource you must claw your way toward. This assumption forces you into a posture of lack of clinging, hoarding, and striving. It makes every effort feel desperate because you believe there will not be enough. What if the opposite is true? What if the universe is not a miser, but a benefactor? The backwards law suggests that your experience of scarcity is not a reflection of the world's true nature, but a reflection of your own clenched posture. A closed fist cannot receive. A mind convinced of lack will only ever see evidence for it. Your work is not to fight for a bigger piece of the pie. It is to open your hands and realize you are standing in the entire bakery. Trust is the antidote to scarcity. But this is not a passive, blind trust. It is an active trust based on the evidence of your own experience. Think of a time when something fell apart, only for something better to emerge. The relationship that ended, making space for a truer connection. The job you lost, leading you to a more authentic path. The universe operates with a wisdom that often exceeds your short-sighted plans. It is not denying you what you want. It is often protecting you from what you think you want, while orchestrating something far more fitting. Your inability to see the larger pattern does not mean the pattern isn't there. It means you are mistaking a single stitch for the entire tapestry. The current of life is not trying to drown you, it is trying to carry you. Your struggle is what creates the exhaustion, not the current itself. Your practice is to cultivate a consciousness of generosity. Begin by reviewing your past with new eyes. Where did a no become a divine redirection? Where did a failure contain a hidden lesson that served you later? Make a list of these moments. This is your personal evidence file for the generosity of the universe. Then, bring this awareness into your present. For one day, act as if the universe is fundamentally on your side. Assume that every delay is a protection, every closed door is a mercy, and every challenge is a perfectly designed lesson for your growth. Speak this phrase to yourself when anxiety arises. I may not understand this, but I trust it is working for me. Notice how this shifts your energy from one of resistance to one of curiosity. You are no longer a victim of circumstances. You are a student of a benevolent curriculum. This trust is not naive. It is the most sophisticated and realistic way to live. It aligns you with the current, and in that alignment, you will find that everything you need begins to flow toward you with an ease that will feel like grace. Chapter 9. The Discipline of Allowing. Why this isn't passive. It's the ultimate practice. The greatest misunderstanding of the backwards law is that it promotes passivity. That to stop trying is to become a leaf blown by the wind, aimless and without will. Nothing could be further from the truth. Allowing is not passive. It is the highest form of disciplined action. It takes immense strength to hold your ground against the cultural programming that shouts, strive, push, control. It takes profound courage to sit with the anxiety of uncertainty and choose not to react. It takes unwavering focus to align your actions with your deepest intentions while simultaneously releasing your grip on the outcome. This is not the work of a weak person. It is the practice of a spiritual warrior. The effort is just directed inward, toward self-mastery, rather than outward, toward manipulating the world. Think of a master archer. They do not control the wind. They do not fret over the target. Their entire focus is on their own form, the placement of their feet, the draw of the bow, the calm focus of their mind. They take aim with intense precision and effort. But the moment they release the arrow, their control ends. They do not try to steer it with their mind. They trust their skill, the laws of physics, and the conditions of the moment. The release is the allowing. The discipline was in the aim. The wisdom is in the release. You must become the archer of your own life. Your discipline lies in your preparation, your focus, and your alignment with your target, your values, your intentions, your core self. Your allowing is the release of the arrow, the serene trust that you have done your part, and the outcome is no longer yours to command. Your training in this discipline begins with a single repeated choice. The pause. Before you react. Before you push. Before you strive from a place of anxiety. I want you to pause. In that space, ask yourself, am I acting from a place of alignment, or am I acting from a place of fear? Is this action a thoughtful, intentional step toward my target, or is it a frantic grasping for control? This moment of pause is where the real work happens. It is where you exercise the muscle of allowing. Each time you choose the pause over the panic, you are rewiring your nervous system. You are building a new default setting. This is the core of the practice. It is not about doing nothing. It is about doing the right thing for the right reasons, and then having the fortitude to let go. The discipline of allowing is the journey from being a prisoner of your own reactivity to becoming the master of your response. Chapter 10. The Bent Universe. Living a life where everything seems to fall into place. This is the promise. Not a life free of challenges, but a life where challenges feel like part of a coherent, benevolent story, rather than random acts of cruelty. Not a life where you get everything you want, but a life where what you receive feels profoundly right. This is the experience of the bent universe. The feeling that life is leaning in your favor, that synchronicities are commonplace, and that you are being guided. This is not magic. It is physics. It is the natural consequence of you finally leaning back into the current instead of fighting against it. When you stop resisting, the universe no longer needs to use force to guide you. It can use whispers. It can use gentle nudges. The obstacles that once felt like brick walls now feel like guiding hands, redirecting you to a better path. You will know you are living in the bent universe not by the absence of problems, but by the quality of your energy. There will be a lightness to your step. Decisions will feel easier, not because the stakes are lower, but because you are no longer burdened by the illusion that everything depends on you alone. You will move through the world with a quiet confidence, a knowing that you are supported. People will remark on your luck, not understanding that your luck is the visible result of an invisible alignment. They see the synchronicity. They don't see the inner surrender that made it possible. The universe bends toward those who are in harmony with it. It meets a relaxed, open hand far more readily than a clenched fist. Your life's work is now to maintain this alignment. It is a daily practice, a constant returning to the principles in this book. When you feel yourself tightening, striving, and grasping, return to the wisdom of water. Return to the art of non-seeking. Return to the discipline of the pause. This is not a one-time transformation but a lifelong orientation. You will forget. You will fall back into old habits of force. The difference is that now you know the way back. You know the feeling of the current, and you will recognize the exhaustion of swimming against it. The bent universe is not a destination you arrive at. It is a path you choose, moment by moment. It is the unwavering decision to trust, to allow, and to participate with life rather than dominate it. And in that choice, you will find that the universe has been waiting to support you all along. The struggle is over. The allowing has begun.